My name is Pamela Grist. I'm 32 years old. At my younger brother's engagement party, my father stood in front of 180 guests and said he'd always wanted a son to carry the Grist name forward. He called my brother my pride, my legacy, everything I hoped for. I wasn't invited to stand for the family photo. What my father didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd just spent 6 years building something they couldn't imagine. Something bigger than his hedge fund. Something that didn't need the Grist name to succeed. They thought I was nobody. His business colleague was about to tell him exactly who I was, and my mother, the woman who'd spent 32 years wishing I'd been born a son, was about to lose the ability to speak. This is what happened when my family finally Googled my name. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to the beginning, to the family that raised me to be invisible. The Grist family has money. Old money. Connecticut money. The kind that comes with an 8-bedroom estate in Bellhaven, a gated community in Greenwich, where the annual property taxes could buy a house anywhere else in America. My father, Douglas Grist, is a managing partner at Grist Partners LP, a boutique hedge fund managing $380 million. Not the biggest fund, but respectable. Old school. The kind of firm where deals get done over cigars at the Greenwich Country Club, where my father has been a member since 1987. My mother, Victoria, was born Victoria Ashworth in Charleston, South Carolina, a debutante who married up into Connecticut old money. She traded magnolias for maples and spent the next 3 decades perfecting the art of social climbing. She's the president of the Greenwich Junior League. She sits on the board of the Greenwich Historical Society and the Bellhaven Garden Club. Her full-time career is throwing charity galas and making sure everyone knows the Grist family matters. They had 2 children. First, me. Then, 4 years later, my brother Ethan. That's when everything changed. The Grist family operates on a very simple principle. Sons build empires. Daughters marry well and host dinner parties. It's not written down anywhere. It doesn't have to be. It's in every decision they made from the moment Ethan was born. Ethan got the corner office at Dad's firm when he turned 26. Vice President of Investor Relations. $280,000 a year plus bonuses. His job? Playing golf with clients. Having drinks. Schmoozing at charity dinners. The actual investment decisions are made by the senior partners. But Dad tells everyone Ethan is the future of Grist Partners. I got my childhood bedroom converted into Mom's craft room in 2019. Ethan went to Yale. Legacy admission, economics major, C+ average. 2 years at a mid-tier investment bank where he was hired because Dad made a phone call. Then the VP position appeared. Golden parachute, golden handcuffs, golden child. I went to Penn for undergrad, Wharton for my MBA, graduated top of my class, got hired at Morgan Stanley Real Estate Investing on merit, worked 80-hour weeks for 4 years, analyst to associate. I saved $2 million by living in a Brooklyn apartment with 3 roommates and bringing lunch from home every single day, while my colleagues spent $50 on sushi. My family thought I was being cheap. I was building a war chest. I left Morgan Stanley when I was 26. Started my own firm, Meridian Capital Partners, private equity focused on sustainable real estate, adaptive reuse, taking old industrial buildings and turning them into mixed-use properties. Residential, commercial, green space. I told my parents at Thanksgiving dinner 2019, "Dad, I started my own company. We just closed our first acquisition, $18 million. He looked up from carving the turkey. "That's nice, Pam. Real estate. Isn't that for developers?" He turned to Ethan. "Speaking of which, Ethan just brought in the Vanderbilt family account. $3 million under management." Mom smiled. "That's wonderful, darling. Pam, dear, when will you stop playing businesswoman and find a husband? You're 27. The clock is ticking." I tried twice more that night. Both times, the conversation pivoted to Ethan within 60 seconds. That was the night I stopped trying. I built my empire in silence, and they never asked a single follow-up question. Fast forward to Saturday, November 16th, 2024. 6 years later, I woke up in my apartment in Tribeca, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Hudson River, $8,500 a month rent. Except I don't rent. I own it. Bought it in 2021 for $2.3 million. My phone buzzed, 7:30 a.m. A text from my CFO, Alex Rodriguez. LPS nervous about concentration risk on the Worth Street deal. Prep extra slides on tenant creditworthiness. I was already dressed. Navy theory suit. Ferragamo heels. Cartier watch I bought myself when we closed our 10th property. I made coffee and opened my laptop. Even though it was Saturday. Even though I had somewhere to be that night. Because Monday morning, I had a board meeting. $185 million on the line. The biggest deal in Meridian Capital's history. An acquisition of a building at 125 Worth Street in the financial district. If the limited partners voted yes, we'd close in 30 days. If they hesitated, if anything made them nervous, the deal would die. The seller had a backup offer. I worked until 2 p.m., went home, showered, stood in front of my closet. On the left side, my work clothes. The armor I wore when I walked into conference rooms full of men who thought I was too young, too female, too something. Structured suits, clean lines, expensive but not flashy. On the right side, my Greenwich clothes. J. Crew cardigans, understated dresses, invisible clothes, clothes that didn't draw attention, clothes that said, I'm harmless, I'm small, I'm not a threat. I chose a navy Armani dress, elegant enough for an engagement party, plain enough that my mother wouldn't comment. I checked my phone. My brother's fiancée, Carolyn Ashford, had tagged me in an Instagram story. Can't wait for tonight. I looked at her profile. Senior associate, Blackstone Real Estate. Something about that felt familiar, but I couldn't place it. I left Tribeca at 4:30 p.m. Tesla Model S lease is $1,200 a month, but I wanted the electric car for the environmental optics. I pay attention to optics. It's part of the job. The drive from Manhattan to Greenwich is 52 miles, takes about an hour and 15 minutes without traffic. I-95 North, Exit 3. I watched the city fade behind me, watched the suburbs turn into estates. Gas stations became horse farms. Strip malls became stone walls and iron gates. Greenwich, Connecticut. Population 63,000. But the society subset, the people my parents know, maybe 400 families. Everyone knows everyone. Gossip travels at the speed of light. I thought about Monday's meeting. The limited partners, 3 pension fund CIOs, Cal STRS, Columbia University Endowment, New York State Common, conservative investors, fiduciaries, people responsible for teachers' retirements and hospital workers' pensions. If they sensed any instability in me, any lack of professionalism, any hint that I couldn't handle pressure, they'd walk. I couldn't afford to fall apart this weekend. I pulled off at Exit 3, Bellhaven. The guard at the gate waved me through. I'd grown up here. He recognized the face, if not the person. 5:50 p.m. The engagement party started at 7. I parked in my parents' circular driveway. The house looked the same as it always did. 8 bedrooms, sprawling lawn. The American flag my father flies because he thinks it makes him look patriotic instead of just rich. I sat in my car for 8 minutes. Breathing exercises. Checked the Monday presentation on my iPad one more time. Slides 12 through 18 needed polish. My phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. Thanks for coming tonight. Means a lot. I stared at the message. Didn't respond. At 6:02, I walked inside. The engagement party wasn't at my parents' house. It was at Belle Haven Country Club. Established 1891, according to the bronze plaque by the entrance. Membership costs $85,000 just to join, then $12,000 a year after that. The kind of place where old men make deals over whiskey and young couples get married because their parents got married there. I gave my coat to the attendant. A red jacket with white gloves took it without making eye contact. The cocktail hour was on the terrace. Long Island Sound stretched out beyond the balcony. November sunset. 52 degrees. Heat lamps every 12 feet. Past appetizers. Tuna tartare on little spoons. Truffle arancini. Champagne. Veuve Clicquot. $90 a bottle wholesale. My mother had ordered cases. I spotted her immediately. Victoria Grist in a cream-colored dress that probably cost $4,000. Hermes clutch, Cartier bracelet, air-kissing Mrs. Hartwell from the Garden Club. Then my father. Douglas. Navy suit. Patek Philippe watch. He inherited from his father, who inherited it from his. Laughing with a colleague. Cigar in one hand, scotch in the other. And Ethan, my little brother, 28 years old, standing with his fiancée. Caroline was blonde, elegant, genuinely warm smile. The kind of person who looks you in the eye when she shakes your hand. I walked to the bar. Ordered a club soda. Pam! My mother's voice. Sharp, like she was calling a dog. I turned. Oh, you made it. She looked me up and down. The coat check is that way. Hi, Mom. We're doing photos at 6:30. Try not to wrinkle. She was already walking away. I sipped my club soda with lime, watched the terrace fill with guests. Investment bankers, lawyers, doctors. Old money, new money pretending to be old money. Greenwich Society in all its glory. And then I saw her again. Caroline, Ethan's fiancée. She was talking to someone near the balcony, but she glanced my way, made eye contact, smiled. Something about her felt familiar, but I still couldn't place it. At 7:15, a staff member in a black suit guided everyone from the terrace into the ballroom. The main event. Dinner. Toasts. The reason we were all here. I found my name on the seating chart. There were 18 tables, 10 people per table, 180 guests total. Table 1 was the head table. My father, my mother, Ethan, Caroline, Caroline's parents, Dr. and Mrs. Ashford, and 4 close family friends. Tables 2 through 6 were my father's business associates, hedge fund people, private equity guys, the money crowd. Tables 7 through 10 were my mother's junior league friends, the charity circuit, the women who lunch. Table 14. That's where they put me. Table 14. Rear, left corner of the ballroom. Partially obscured by a decorative column. 40 feet from the head table. I was seated with distant cousins I hadn't seen in 8 years. From table 14, I had a perfect view of the head table. I could see my parents. I could see Ethan and Caroline. I could watch them laugh, toast, celebrate. They couldn't see me at all. My cousin Michelle sat down next to me. Pam. Oh my God, how long has it been? What are you up to these days? Real estate, mostly boring stuff. That's nice. I'm in marketing now. Tyler and I just bought a house in Darien. 3 bedrooms. You should come visit. I smiled. I'd love that. The lies we tell at family events. Dinner started. First course. Burrata with heirloom tomatoes. $38 a plate. I know because I've planned enough investor dinners to know catering costs. I made small talk. Answered questions on autopilot. Yes, work is good. No, no boyfriend. Yes, I'm happy. No, I'm not lonely. All lies. At 7:30, the photographer called for family photos. A professional setup. Canon EOS R5. Expensive equipment. The photographer's name was Alan Chen. He shoots all the major Greenwich events. $4,500 for the evening. Grist family, please. Douglas, Victoria, Ethan, and Caroline walked to the designated spot, positioned themselves. Perfect smiles. The photographer looked around. Any other immediate family? My mother didn't hesitate. No, this is everyone. I was sitting 40 feet away. My cousin Michelle leaned over. Wait, aren't you? It's fine, I said. The photographer raised his camera. Beautiful family, big smiles. Flash, flash, flash. 6 poses, different configurations. The happy couple, the proud parents, the family legacy. I watched through the gap in the column. Not one of them looked back. Dinner continued. Main course, filet mignon, $64 a plate, roasted vegetables, garlic mashed potatoes, wine, a Napa cab that probably cost $120 a bottle. I checked my phone under the table. A text from Alex, my CFO. LP from Cal STRS asking about tenant rollover risk. Need talking points. I drafted a response. Typed out 3 bullet points about lease structures and tenant creditworthiness. Sent it. Efficient, professional. Another text. This one from Ethan. Thanks for coming tonight. Means a lot. I stared at my phone. The text from 20 minutes ago that I hadn't answered. I still didn't answer it now. My cousin Todd, Michelle's husband, turned to me. So Pam, any boyfriend? You gotta make time for a personal life, you know. Work keeps me busy. You work too hard. My buddy works in real estate too. Commercial stuff. I should connect you two. Sure, that'd be nice. More lies. At 8:20, dessert arrived. Lemon tart. Lemon. $18 a slice. I took one bite. Couldn't taste it. Because the lights dimmed slightly. Toast time. My father stood up, tapped his champagne flute with a silver dessert spoon. Tiffany silver. My mother's pattern. 180 people went quiet. Douglas Grist commands a room. 61 years old. Yale, 1985. Third-generation wealth. A man who has never been told no in his entire life. He raised his glass, smiled at the crowd. Thank you all for being here tonight, he began. His voice carried across the ballroom. Confident, warm, the voice of a man used to giving speeches. Victoria and I are thrilled to celebrate Ethan and Caroline's engagement with the people who matter most to us. Applause, smiles. The room loved him. I want to tell you about my son, he continued. From the day Ethan was born, Victoria and I knew he was special. We wanted a son, someone to carry the Grist name forward, someone to build on what generations before us built. I felt my chest tighten. Ethan exceeded every expectation. Yale, investment banking, and now a leader at Grist Partners. He has a natural talent for client relationships, a gift for making people feel valued. He's everything I hoped for. My cousin Michelle glanced at me, uncomfortable. I kept my face neutral. Ethan is my pride, Douglas said, his voice thick with emotion. My legacy, the future of Grist Partners and the Grist family name. The room applauded. Hear, hear. Glasses raised. I gripped my dessert fork, gripped it so hard my knuckles turned white. The crystal silver bent slightly in my hand. And then, my mother stood. This wasn't planned. Victoria was emotional, tears in her eyes. She put her hand on Douglas's arm. I just have to add something, she said. Her voice shook. Douglas and I always said, if we could only have one child, we'd want it to be Ethan. Audible gasps from a few tables. Some of the guests knew I existed. Not many, but some. Victoria didn't notice, or didn't care. He's made every sacrifice worth it, she continued. Every sleepless night, every worry. Ethan, darling, you're our greatest joy. She sat down, beaming, dabbing her eyes with an Irish linen napkin. The room erupted in applause again. Congratulations, toasts, clinking glasses. 180 people celebrating. Not one of them looked at table 14, except one, Caroline Ashford, Ethan's fiancée, 40 feet away at the head table. She was staring directly at me, and I saw something in her face change. The photographer called the family up again. Let's get a photo during the toast. Douglas, Victoria, Ethan, Caroline. They stood, arranged themselves. The perfect family tableau. The Grist family, the photographer called out. Flash, flash, flash. I stood abruptly. My chair scraped against the floor. My table mates thought I was going to the restroom. Maybe I was. I didn't know anymore. I walked toward the bar, back to the room. I couldn't look at them. The bartender was a young guy, early 20s. He saw my face. You okay, miss? Club soda, please. He poured it, added lime without me asking, slid it across the bar. For what it's worth, he said quietly. I've worked 100 of these parties. That was cold. I looked at him. Yeah. Families, huh? I took a 20 from my clutch, left it on the bar for a $4 drink. I heard footsteps behind me. Turned. Caroline Ashford. And this time she wasn't smiling politely. She looked confused. Urgent. Can I talk to you for a second? She asked. We moved to a quieter corner, near the French doors that led back to the terrace. The ballroom was loud. Music starting. A jazz quartet. $3,200 for the evening. Caroline studied my face. I'm so sorry about that toast. That was... She stopped. Searched for words. I don't even have words for what that was. It's fine, I said. My automatic response. The lie I'd been telling for 32 years. I'm used to it. You shouldn't have to be. Silence. 15 seconds. She was still looking at me. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Your voice, she said suddenly. I know your voice. I don't think we've met before tonight. No, I do. She shook her head, frustrated with herself. It's been driving me crazy since we spoke earlier. Where do I know you from? I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Because I knew what was about to happen. Before she did. I watched her brain work, saw the gears turning, and then her eyes went wide. Oh my God. Her voice was barely a whisper. Wait. What's your full name? Pamela. Pamela what? I looked at her. This woman who was about to marry my brother. This woman I'd met for 90 minutes 9 months ago in a conference room in Manhattan. Grist, I said. She pulled out her phone, hands shaking slightly, typed something. Pamela Grist Real Estate. Waited, then added. Meridian Capital. Google results loaded in 0.47 seconds. She stared at her screen, then at me, then back at her screen. Oh my God, she whispered. Oh my God, you're Pamela J. Grist? I didn't answer. From Meridian Capital Partners? The CEO? Yes. Her face cycled through disbelief, shock, something close to horror. She showed me her phone, like I didn't know what was there. LinkedIn profile, Pamela J. Grist, founder and CEO, Meridian Capital Partners, 4,200 followers. She clicked through to the company website. The About page loaded. My bio. My photo. Professional headshot from 2023. Meridian Capital Partners, she read aloud. Her voice was shaking. Private equity firm focused on sustainable real estate. 520 million in assets under management. 523 as of last month, I said. She looked at me. Ethan said you did real estate consulting. I know what he said. She scrolled, clicked. Pitchbook profile, Urban Green Council board member listing, NYU Stern guest speaker page. Every scroll, another piece of proof. Every click, another lie my family had told. And then I saw it hit her. The memory. Oh my God, she said again. February, February 15th. Blackstone. We were looking at co-investment opportunities. Her words came faster now. I pitched to you. Conference room C. You presented your portfolio. You knew every number. You. She stopped. Stared at me. I told my boss you were the sharpest CEO I'd met that quarter. I remembered. 90-minute meeting. She'd asked good questions. Tough questions. I'd respected that. Why didn't you say something? Her voice cracked. When I met you tonight. When Ethan introduced us months ago. You mean when he said I do real estate consulting? When he said it was nothing serious? Caroline had no words. She turned, looked across the ballroom at Ethan, then at my father, then at my mother, then back at me. And I saw the exact moment she understood everything. Mrs. Patterson was standing next to Caroline, a family friend, wife of a hedge fund manager who competes with my father's firm. Everything okay? She asked. Caroline looked at her. Do you know who Pam is? Mrs. Patterson smiled. Doug's daughter, yes. No. Caroline's voice was strange, hollow. Do you know who she is? She showed Mrs. Patterson her phone. Mrs. Patterson squinted. Read. Her expression changed. Oh, she said. Oh my. She pulled out her own phone. Googled. 500 million? Mrs. Patterson looked up at me, then at Caroline. Douglas never mentioned. He doesn't know, Caroline said. That's not possible. She's his daughter. He doesn't know. Mrs. Patterson showed her husband. He was sitting 2 seats away. He looked at the phone, looked at me, pulled out his own phone and Googled. The woman next to him leaned over, saw the screen, gasped. Within 60 seconds, my entire table was staring at phones, then table 13, then table 12. Whispers, building, growing. 520 million? She founded it? Doug doesn't know? How could he not know? Caroline turned back to me. Pamela, But I wasn't looking at her anymore. I was looking at the man walking toward my father. Richard Brennan, managing director at Blackstone Real Estate, the same division where Caroline works. My father's colleague, friend from the country club. I watched him approach table 1, watched him lean down, whisper something to my father, watched my father's champagne flute stop halfway to his mouth, watched his face freeze. Douglas pulled out his phone. Samsung Galaxy. He's anti-Apple for reasons he's never explained. He typed with one finger. Slow, deliberate. Pamela Grist. Hit search. Waited. I couldn't see his screen from 40 feet away, but I knew what he was seeing. LinkedIn. Company website. The same results Caroline had pulled up. His face drained of color. Richard was still talking. Quiet. Urgent. Douglas clicked something. Read. Victoria noticed. Walked over. Darling, what's wrong? He didn't answer, just handed her the phone. She read. Her expression, confusion, disbelief. Then something uglier. This can't be Pam, she said, loud enough that I could hear from the bar. This is someone else. Grist is a common name. Richard Brennan's voice carried. Victoria, it's her. Same photo, same age, born in Greenwich. My mother looked across the ballroom. Found me standing at the bar. Our eyes locked. I didn't look away. She started walking toward me, heels clicking on the marble floor. Hermes' clutch gripped so tight her knuckles were white. And I knew. This was it. The moment I'd been avoiding for 6 years. The confrontation I'd never wanted but always knew was coming. Victoria reached the bar. Guests were watching now. Maybe 40 people aware something was happening. Another 80 confused, but sensing drama. She leaned in, voice low, hissing, trying to keep it quiet. What have you done? I looked at her. My mother. The woman who'd wished aloud that I'd never been born. I haven't done anything, Mom. You've embarrassed us. You've made us look like fools. I've embarrassed you? My voice was calm. Too calm. I've been sitting 40 feet away while Dad toasted the son he wished was his only child. Don't be dramatic. He didn't mean... He said it. You said it. In front of 180 people. You said if you could only have one child, it would be Ethan. You're twisting. I'm not twisting anything. I'm just finally letting people see the truth. My father appeared behind her. Phone still in his hand. Douglas Grist, who always had something to say, stood there speechless. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Tried again. Tried. Pamela. We didn't know. You never told us. I told you at Thanksgiving 2019. You said real estate was for developers, not serious investors. I didn't mean. What didn't you mean, Dad? That I wasn't serious? Or that I wasn't worthy? If I'd known the scale, would it have mattered? I looked at him. Really looked at him. Would you have introduced me instead of erasing me from the family photo? Would you have toasted me instead of saying your son was all you ever wanted? He had no answer. Ethan appeared. My little brother. The golden child. Caroline must have pulled him away from whatever conversation he'd been having. What's going on? He asked. Caroline showed him her phone. Your sister runs a $520 million company, Ethan. What? No, she does consulting. She showed him the screen. He read. His face went through every emotion I'd expected. Confusion. Disbelief. Shock. Pam, this is you? Yes. But you never... Why didn't you tell me? I tried. You weren't interested. None of you were. That's not fair. Isn't it? My voice stayed level. When's the last time you asked about my work? When's the last time anyone in this family asked me a single question about what I do? Ethan looked at Caroline, at Mom, at Dad, like he was searching for someone to contradict me. No one did. My mother grabbed my arm. We're going somewhere private now. And the whispers spread like fire across dry grass. We walked to a small sitting room off the ballroom. The bridal suite backup, Victorian furniture, a settee that probably cost $8,000. Bellhaven kept everything historic, authentic, expensive. My mother shut the door. 5 people in the room. Pamela, Victoria, Douglas, Ethan, Caroline. Caroline had followed Ethan. She was witnessing this. I didn't know how I felt about that yet. Victoria started pacing. My father sat down, head in his hands. Ethan stood near the door, confused, lost. How dare you? Victoria hissed. Tonight of all nights, your brother's engagement party. I didn't do anything. I sat quietly at table 14 while you erased me. Again. Don't play victim. You deliberately hid this from us. I laughed. It came out bitter, short. A sound I didn't recognize as my own. My father finally spoke. Pamela, why didn't you tell us? If we'd known you were running a firm this size. You did know, I said. I told you. Thanksgiving 2019. I brought a portfolio book to show you. You flipped through it for 30 seconds and said, "That's nice, dear." Mom asked who wanted pie. Ethan was on his phone. I tried again. You changed the subject to Ethan's promotion. I tried a third time. You literally walked away. That's not how I remember. Of course it's not. Because you never listened. You never asked follow-up questions. You never Googled my company name. You never showed up. We're your parents, Douglas said. You've always supported Ethan. Silence. My mother's voice went ice cold. Well, I suppose now we know why you've never married. Too busy playing CEO. And something in me broke. Not the sad kind of breaking. the liberating kind. Let me tell you what you missed, I said. My voice was steady, calm. The voice I used in board meetings when someone challenged my numbers and I knew I was right. 2018. I founded Meridian Capital Partners with $2 million I saved working 80-hour weeks at Morgan Stanley. 2019, first acquisition, $18 million, a warehouse in Bushwick. You called it playing developer. My father opened his mouth. I kept going. 2020, 3 more properties. COVID hit. Everyone said real estate was dead. I bought 4 buildings at a 30% discount. 2021. Raised $180 million from institutional investors, pension funds, endowments, family offices. 2022. Portfolio hit 12 properties. 2024. $523 million under management, 32 employees, 18 properties across New York, Boston, and Philadelphia. I looked at each of them. I'm on the board of the Urban Green Council. I've spoken at Wharton, at Stern, at Columbia. I've been quoted in the Wall Street Journal. My firm has a 23% IRR. Do you know what that means, Dad? It means I'm beating 90% of real estate PE firms in the country. Douglas stared at his hands. And you know what? I continued. None of that matters, because you never asked. Ethan stood up. Pam, I'm sorry, I should have... But I wasn't done. I turned to him. You've been VP at Dad's firm for 2 years. Your salary is $280,000. You brought in $3 million in client assets. One of them was a family friend Dad referred. Your actual job is playing golf and having drinks, and they call you the future of grist partners. Ethan's face went red. I have 32 employees who depend on me, I said. I manage $523 million that belongs to pension funds, teachers, firefighters, nurses. If I fail, they lose their retirements, and our parents think you're the successful one. That's not fair, Ethan said quietly. You're right, I said. It's not fair. None of this is fair. Caroline spoke for the first time since we'd entered the room. Mr. and Mrs. Grist, she said. Her voice was professional, measured. The voice she probably used at Blackstone when she was delivering bad news to a client. I think you need to understand something. Caroline stepped forward. All eyes on her. I work at Blackstone Real Estate, she said. I've been in this industry for 3 years. I've reviewed over 50 private equity firms. Meridian Capital Partners is exceptional. She looked at my father, at my mother. 23% IRR, disciplined underwriting, institutional quality LP base, strong track record, 0 blow-ups. Pamela is one of the best operators I've encountered. My mother started to interrupt. This is none of your... I'm marrying into this family, Caroline said. Her voice didn't rise, didn't waver. It absolutely is my business. She turned to me, then back to them. When I pitched to her in February, I told my boss she was the sharpest CEO I'd met that quarter. And tonight, she gestured at the closed door, at the ballroom beyond. Tonight, I listened to you toast your son for bringing in 1 client referral. She paused. The disconnect is staggering. Ethan looked at Caroline like he'd never seen her before, and I realized something. She was the only person in that room who saw me clearly. My father's voice was defeated. Small. What do you want from us, Pamela? I paused. Considered. I want you to have asked, I said finally. 6 years ago. 4 years ago. Last month. I want you to have cared enough to Google my name. I want you to have included me in one family photo. I want you to have not said your son was all you ever wanted while I was sitting 40 feet away. We can fix this, Douglas said. You can't fix 32 years. My mother's voice was sharp. So this is it? You're just done with us? I looked at her. This woman who'd spent my entire childhood wishing I'd been born different. "I've been done for a long time," I said. "Tonight you're just finally noticing." I walked toward the door, put my hand on the handle, and then I turned back. "One last thing. You spent 32 years wishing I was different," I said. "I spent 6 years becoming someone extraordinary. The only difference is, I did it without needing your approval." I looked at my father. "Your fund manages 380 million, Dad. Mine manages 523. I beat you. And you never even knew we were competing." I opened the door. Caroline called after me. "Pamela, wait." I looked back at her. "Congratulations on your engagement, Caroline. You're marrying a good man. I hope he learns to be a better brother." I walked out of that room, walked past 168 people who finally saw me, and I drove back to Manhattan. Alone. Just like I'd built everything. Alone. I pulled over at the Vince Lombardi rest stop near the George Washington Bridge. 11:10 p.m. The parking lot was nearly empty. Just a few trucks. Late travelers. I sat in the dark, hands shaking on the steering wheel. My phone was buzzing. Texts. Caroline, Ethan, unknown numbers. I ignored them all. I thought about Monday, the board meeting, $185 million on the line, 3 pension fund CIOs sitting across a conference table. Lawyers from Sullivan and Cromwell, my investment committee, all of them waiting for me to be sharp, focused, professional. I couldn't afford to fall apart. But sitting in that parking lot, watching semis roll past on I-95, I let myself feel it. Just for 10 minutes. The grief, the anger, the relief, and then I turned the car back on. Drove the rest of the way to Tribeca. Got home at 11:45. I changed into sweatpants. Made tea. Opened my laptop. And I did what I always did when the world felt like it was ending. I worked. People ask me how I built Meridian Capital. They want to know the strategy, the secret, the magic formula. There's no magic. I built it the way you build anything worth having, one decision at a time. 2014, fresh out of Wharton. I took a job at Morgan Stanley Real Estate Investing. Analyst position, $85,000 a year. Not bad for 22 years old. But Manhattan rents are $3,500 a month for a studio. My colleagues were spending $150,000 and living paycheck to paycheck. I moved to Brooklyn. Found an apartment in Bushwick with 3 roommates. $1,200 a month. I wore the same 3 suits for 2 years. I brought lunch from home every day. Tupperware with leftovers from dinner. I took the subway while everyone else took Ubers. They thought I was cheap. I was saving 60% of my income. By year 4 at Morgan Stanley, I was an associate. Base salary $140,000. Bonuses got bigger. I lived the exact same way. Same apartment, same subway, same Tupperware. By the time I was 26, I had $2 million in the bank. And I had a plan. I quit Morgan Stanley in January 2018. My boss told me I was making a mistake, that I was throwing away a promising career, that starting your own firm in your 20s was naive. I thanked him for his concern. Rented a 400-square-foot office in the financial district, $3,200 a month. Incorporated Meridian Capital Partners, LLC. My first deal was a warehouse in Bushwick, 237 Johnson Avenue, 42,000 square feet. Built in 1952. Former textile factory. Abandoned for 8 years. The broker said I was too young. The lender said I was too inexperienced. The seller said women don't do this kind of deal. I closed in 90 days. 18 million purchase price, 12 million debt. 6 million equity. Half from my savings. Half from 3 angel investors I'd met at Morgan Stanley. I converted it into the Johnson Collective, 68 apartments, adaptive reuse, sustainable materials, rooftop garden. Sold it in 2020 for $31 million. My investors made 2.1 times their money. I made mine. And I was just getting started. 2019. 3 more deals. 8 million, 12 million, 15 million. All small, all profitable. Building a track record. 2020. The world ended. COVID hit. Everyone said real estate was dead. Office buildings were toxic. Residential was finished. Investors pulled back. I leaned in. Bought 4 properties at a 30% discount. Empty buildings. Distressed sellers. Motivated deals. By 2022, those buildings were worth 50% more than I'd paid. 2021. I had a track record. 6 properties. All profitable. All sold or stabilized. I went to institutional investors, pension funds, endowments. Here's what I've done, I told them. Here's the thesis. Adaptive reuse, sustainable, mixed use, high-quality execution, disciplined underwriting. I raised $180 million in my Series A. Cal STRS committed $22 million. Columbia University Endowment committed $18 million. New York State Common committed $35 million. Family offices made up the rest. My team grew from 4 people to 18. We moved from a 400-square-foot office to 55 Broadway. 12,000 square feet. 8th floor. Views of the Brooklyn Bridge. By 2023, we had 12 properties. $350 million in assets under management. By 2024, 18 properties. $523 million. And through it all, through every all-nighter, every pitch deck, every closing, every crisis, my family thought I was doing consulting. Because I'd stopped telling them. Because they'd stopped asking. Because some part of me had given up trying to be seen. Sunday, November 17th, 7 a.m. I woke up in my Tribeca apartment. 3 hours of sleep. Maybe. I went to the gym. Equinox. 6-mile run. 48 minutes. Trying to clear my head. Trying to focus. I came back. Showered. Made coffee. At 9 a.m. I went to the office. Sunday morning. 55 Broadway was empty. Just me. My footsteps echoed in the hallway. I opened the presentation for tomorrow's board meeting. Slides 12 through 18. The ones about tenant rollover risk. I added a new slide. A matrix showing tenant creditworthiness. Investment grade ratings. Backup LO is. Mitigation strategies. My phone buzzed. My CFO, Alex. You good? I'm good. I wasn't, but I would be. At 12:04 p.m., my phone buzzed again. Caroline. Pamela, I don't even know what to say. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. I stared at the text. Didn't respond. 12:47 p.m. Another text from her. I told Ethan he needs to understand what happened. He's processing. Can we talk? Coffee this week? 1:15 p.m. I finally responded. You didn't know. Not your fault. Can I do anything? Focus on Ethan. He's going to need support. What about you? I looked at that question for a long time. I've been supporting myself for 6 years. 2:33 p.m. Ethan left a voicemail. His voice was shaky. Pam, it's me. I don't even know where to start. Caroline showed me everything. Your company, the properties, the... Jesus, Pam. Why didn't you tell me? I mean, I know why. I do. Because I never asked. Because I was too busy being the golden child to see you at all. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Can we talk? Please? The voicemail kept going. I've been thinking all night about every time you tried to tell me something and I changed the subject. Every time Mom and Dad dismissed you and I said nothing. Every time I took credit for being the successful one when you were out there actually building something real. I was a coward. I'm still a coward, but I want to be better. If you'll let me. Background noise. Caroline's voice. She was there with him. The voicemail ended. I listened to it 3 times. Then I deleted it. Not out of anger. Out of protection. Because if I let myself feel it, really feel it, I'd break. And I had a board meeting in 20 hours. 4:18 p.m. An email from my father. Subject: We need to talk. Pamela. Your mother and I are deeply hurt that you chose to conceal your professional success from us. We deserve an explanation. We've supported you your entire life, and this is how you repay us? By humiliating us in front of our friends and colleagues? Call us immediately. We raised you to value family above all else. Your actions Saturday night showed a stunning lack of respect. Whatever issues you believe you have with us, there are proper ways to address them, not public spectacles. We expect to hear from you. Dad. 374 words. Sent from his iPhone. CC'd my mother. 0 apologies. 0 accountability. Just blame. I read it once. Then I composed my response. 6:02 p.m. Subject: We need to talk. Dad, you say I humiliated you. I sat quietly at table 14 while you toasted the son you wished was your only child. I didn't humiliate you. I simply stopped protecting you from the truth. I will resume contact under these conditions. 1. You will send a written note to Saturday's guests acknowledging your error and my actual professional standing. 2. You will commit to 6 months of family therapy with a licensed therapist. Attendance is mandatory. 3. You will never again diminish my work, exclude me from family narrative, or treat my accomplishments as inconvenient. Until these conditions are met, contact me only through my attorney for estate or trust matters. Pamela. I hit send. And for the first time in 32 years, I felt like I could breathe. By Sunday evening, the Greenwich gossip machine was in full swing. Junior League group chat, 47 messages by noon, text chains lighting up across Fairfield County. Did you hear about the Grist girl? The one they ignore. She runs a $500 million company. Doug's face when he found out. I would die if I were Victoria. The whispers spread. Greenwich brunch on Sunday morning. Church, the country club. My mother skipped church. Not feeling well. Translation: couldn't face the questions. And Monday morning, it spread further. Richard Brennan mentioned it to another MD at Blackstone. You know Pamela Grist from Meridian? Turns out she's Doug Grist's daughter. He had no idea what she'd built. The real estate PE community is small, 200 major players in the Northeast. Everyone knows everyone. Word traveled. Did you hear about Doug Grist's daughter? The Meridian CEO? Yeah, wild. Built a $520 million firm and he didn't even know. Self-made, no family money, makes you respect her more. Makes you question him. And Monday morning, I walked into the biggest meeting of my career, with 0 family support. Just like I'd done everything else. Monday, November 18th. 5:45 a.m. alarm. I got up, showered, made coffee. Reviewed the presentation one final time. Navy theory suit, Ferragamo heels, Cartier watch. I looked in the mirror. Eyes tired, but determined. I left my apartment at 6:50, walked to the office, 1.2 miles. I needed the air, needed to clear my head. Arrived at 7:15. My team was already there. Alex Rodriguez, my CFO, 2 of my partners, Sarah Kim and Michael Torres. You ready? Alex asked. I looked at him. This man I'd hired 4 years ago, who'd left a safe job at Blackstone to join a 28-year-old woman's startup. I'm ready. Everything okay? You seem... I'm fine. Let's run through the Q&A one more time. We did. 7:55. The LPs started arriving. 3 men. Robert Chen from Cal STRS, California State Teachers Retirement System. 308 billion in total assets. Our LP for 22 million. Dr. Lisa Moretti. Columbia University Endowment. 14.3 billion. Our LP for 18 million. James O'Brien. New York State Common Retirement Fund. 254 billion. Our LP for 35 million. Conservative investors, fiduciaries, people responsible for teachers' pensions and hospital workers' retirement accounts. If they voted no, the deal died. 8 a.m. The conference room door opened, and I became the person my family never saw. The CEO, the operator, the woman who built this. 8:05. I started the presentation. Slide 1. The opportunity. 125 Worth Street. Financial District, 92,000 square feet. Built in 1928. Office building, historic facade, empty for 3 years. Slide 2. The thesis. Adaptive reuse. Residential conversion. 84 luxury units. Ground floor retail. Rooftop amenity space. Slide 3. The numbers. Purchase price $185 million. Senior debt $110 million. Equity $75 million. Meridian's fund $42 million. LP co-investment $33 million. I moved through the slides. Methodical. Confident. Slide 18. The one I'd added yesterday. Tenant creditworthiness matrix. Largest tenant. Investment banking firm. Lease expiration 2027. If they don't renew, backup LOIs from 2 investment-grade tenants. Combined space 65% of original tenant. Rental rates 8% higher. Robert Chen from Cal STRS raised his hand. Your largest tenant is 40% of NOI. What's your mitigation if they don't renew? I didn't check my notes. We've secured letters of intent from 2 backup tenants, both investment-grade credit. Combined, they'd take 65% of that space at rental rates 8% higher than current. When were these LOIs signed? October 23rd and November 2nd, both valid through year-end. He nodded. Wrote something down. Dr. Moretti from Columbia asked about interest rate risk. I walked through our hedge strategy. Fixed-rate senior debt. Caps on floating exposure. James O'Brien asked about exit strategy. I presented 3 scenarios: 5-year hold, 7-year hold, 10-year hold, IRR projections for each, conservative, base case, upside, 45 minutes of presentation, 35 minutes of Q&A, 0 stumbles, 9:35. The LPs stepped out to confer. I sat in the conference room, my team around me, Alex, Sarah, Michael, our lawyers from Sullivan and Cromwell. We waited. 9:37. They came back. Robert Chen spoke for the group. Pamela, your team has done exceptional work on this deal. The underwriting is disciplined. The risk mitigation is thorough. We're comfortable moving forward. Unanimous approval. 75 million equity commitment confirmed. Closing target December 15th. We shook hands around the table. Professional. Respectful. This is the kind of deal-making that makes us confident in Meridian, Chen said. You've earned this. My voice was steady. Thank you. We won't let you down. They left. My team erupted. High fives. Relieved laughter. Sarah hugged me. I smiled, nodded. Give me 1 minute, I said. I walked to the bathroom, locked the stall, and I let myself feel it. 39 hours earlier, I'd been erased from my family, told I was nothing, told they wished I'd never been born. And now I'd just closed the biggest deal of my career. The hand started shaking. Silent tears. Not from joy, from exhaustion, from carrying everything alone, from proving myself to people who'd never see. 2 minutes. Then I washed my face, fixed my mascara, checked the mirror, walked back out. Alex looked at me. Knew something had happened. Didn't ask. Just said, "Champagne at lunch?" I smiled. Absolutely. 12:30 p.m. Team lunch, Locanda Verde, Tribeca. Walking distance from the office. 8 of us. Champagne, Veuve Clicquot. $140 a bottle. The office paid. We toasted. To the team. To the deal. To 5 years of saying no to stupid deals so we could say yes to this one. Someone asked, "How was your weekend?" "Family thing," I said. "Fine." I didn't elaborate. They didn't push. Sarah Kim raised her glass. To Pamela. Best operator I've ever worked for. Alex raised his. To this team. To trusting the process. I raised mine. To all of you. I couldn't do this without you. Literally. And as I sat there, surrounded by people who chose to work with me, who respected my judgment, who celebrated my success, I realized something. I'd already built the family I needed. 3:45 p.m. back at the office. I checked my phone. A text from Ethan. Sent at 2:10. "I know you don't want to hear from me, but I'm proud of you. I always should have said that. I'm sorry I never did." I read it. Reread it. Sat with it. 4:02 p.m. I responded. "Thank you. That means something." 4:15. He texted back. "Can we get coffee? Not to fix everything. Just to talk?" I thought about it. 4:30. Not yet, but maybe someday. I'll wait. And I realized, maybe Ethan could change. Maybe he'd learn. But my parents? They'd already shown me who they were. For 32 years. The next week was quiet. Monday through Friday. My father sent 3 more emails. My mother left 2 voicemails. All demanding discussion. All insisting they deserved explanation. All threatening to reconsider estate planning. I didn't respond to any of them. I forwarded everything to my attorney. Rebecca Stern, Wachtell Lipton, estate planning specialist, $950 an hour. She sent a formal response. Ms. Grist has designated me as her representative for family legal matters, direct all communications through my office. They wanted me to engage, to argue, to defend myself. I refused, because the only power they had left was the power I gave them. And I gave them none. November 25th. Thanksgiving. My mother texted, "Pamela, whatever issues we're having, Thanksgiving is family time. We expect you at 2 p.m. Thursday." I responded, "I have other plans. Enjoy your holiday." Other plans? With whom? This is family tradition. I'm spending it with people who see me. She didn't respond after that. My actual plans? Friendsgiving with 4 college friends. My Tribeca apartment. I cooked. Turkey. Stuffing. Mashed potatoes. Pie. 6 p.m. People who knew my real life. Thanksgiving Day, my mother posted on Instagram. A photo. Douglas. Victoria. Ethan. Caroline. Caption. Grateful for family. I scrolled past. December 3rd. My father's attorney sent a letter to my attorney, threatening. Our clients are prepared to reconsider Pamela's position in family trusts and estate plans unless she engages in good faith family reconciliation. Rebecca called me. They're trying to leverage inheritance. Want me to push back harder? No, I said. Let them write me out. I don't want their money. I never did. You sure? We're talking potentially 8 figures. I'm sure. I'd rather have nothing from them than feel like I'm performing for scraps. She paused. Okay, I'll draft a response. They thought money was leverage. They'd spent 32 years teaching me that love was transactional. And now they were surprised I wouldn't pay the price. December 8th. A letter arrived at my office. Handwritten. 3 pages. From Ethan. I recognized his handwriting immediately. I opened it. Pam, I've been in therapy for 3 weeks now. Individual sessions with Dr. Nathan Brooks. I'm not telling you this to get credit. I'm telling you because I want you to know I'm trying. I've been thinking about Thanksgiving 2019. You brought that portfolio book. Dad barely looked at it. Mom changed the subject, and I sat there playing on my phone. I was 23 years old and I couldn't be bothered to ask my own sister about her work. That's not just passive, that's cruel. I'm sorry. I've been thinking about every family dinner where they talked about me for an hour and you for 30 seconds. Every time I accepted their praise without wondering why you never got any. Every time I benefited from being the favorite and never questioned what that cost you. I was a coward. I'm still learning not to be. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it yet. I just wanted you to know I see it now. I see what I did. What I didn't do. Caroline's been helping me understand. She's been incredible. And she keeps saying the same thing. Your sister built something extraordinary and you never even asked her about it. She's right. I'm sorry, Pam. Ethan. I read it twice. Put it in my desk drawer. Didn't respond yet. But I kept it. Because trying was something. Not enough. But something. December 12th. Caroline texted. Still want to grab coffee? I agreed. We met at Blue Bottle, Tribeca, 7:30 a.m. Before work, she ordered a cortado. So did I. We laughed. We talked for an hour. Industry stuff. Life. Her realization that Ethan had a lot of growing up to do. I've been pushing him, she said. Therapy. Actually listening. It's slow. Growth usually is. Are you okay? I considered the question. Really considered it. I'm better than I've been in years, I said. Turns out cutting out toxicity is healthy. Even when it's family? Especially when it's family. She smiled. Small, sad. Would you ever work with Blackstone again? She asked. On a deal? I looked at her. This woman who was about to marry my brother. Who'd recognized me when no one else had. Who'd stood up to my parents when she didn't have to. Send me the deck, I said. Her smile got wider. February 12th, 2025. Meridian Capital closed the Worth Street deal. $185 million. February 14th, we announced another acquisition. $155 million. Boston, Seaport District, March. We closed a third deal. $98 million. Philadelphia. In 4 months, we added $438 million in new acquisitions. Our team grew to 38 employees. Assets under management hit $687 million. Real Estate Weekly profiled us. Meridian's momentum. Pamela Grist has built Meridian Capital Partners into one of the Northeast's most disciplined real estate PE firms, without fanfare, without family backing, and without cutting corners. My parents sent no congratulations, no acknowledgement, radio silence, which was exactly what I'd asked for. My father and mother never went to therapy. February 18th, they sent an email, drafted by their lawyer. Pamela, after careful consideration, your father and I acknowledge that our communication regarding your professional endeavors may have been insufficient. We hope you'll reconsider your current stance and work toward family reconciliation. 374 words, 0 instances of sorry, 0 accountability. I read it, archived it, never responded. They wanted reconciliation on their terms. I wanted change. We wanted different things. So we remained apart. Ethan kept going to therapy. He sent me monthly emails. Brief, respectful, updates on his progress. January. He admitted to his therapist he'd been coasting on privilege his entire life. February. He actually read about Meridian's deals, texted me substantive questions about cap rates and lease structures. March 1st. I agreed to lunch. Gramercy Tavern, 12:30. Neutral ground. We sat down. Ordered. Awkward at first. Then Ethan asked about the Boston deal, the Seaport. It's hot but saturated. How'd you make the numbers work? I was surprised he'd asked a real question. Off-market seller, I said. Less competition, better pricing. He nodded. Smart. Pause. I'm sorry it took me 28 years to ask you a real question about your work. I looked at him. My little brother. The golden child who was trying, actually trying, to be better. It's a start, I said. When we left, he asked if we could do it again. Once a month. I said yes. Not forgiveness, but a start. January 2025. Caroline pitched her MD at Blackstone on a potential co-investment with Meridian. March. Blackstone committed $40 million to Meridian's next fund. Fund 3. Strategic LP relationship. Caroline told me privately, I pushed for this because you're the best operator I know, not because you're dating my fiancée's sister. I know, I said. That's why I said yes. She was promoted to VP in March, partly because of her deal sourcing success. And me? January. I met someone at an Urban Green Council event. Daniel Foster, 34. Architect, sustainable design, works at Snøhetta, Columbia architecture grad. Designed 3 LEED Platinum buildings, middle-class family from Ohio. No trust fund, no connections. He understood building things from nothing. We had coffee, then dinner, then a museum. We moved slowly. I was cautious. Years of being alone had taught me to protect myself. But by March, we were dating regularly. He knew about my family situation, didn't push. First person in years who saw me completely. For the first time in 6 years, I let myself imagine a future that included someone. Not to complete me, but to walk beside me. April. Caroline and Ethan's wedding was scheduled for June 15th, in Greenwich, Belhaven Country Club, the same venue as the engagement party. Ethan texted, I know this is hard, but would you come? Not for Mom and Dad. For me and Caroline. I thought about it for 3 days, discussed it with my therapist, Dr. Patricia Chen. I'd been seeing her weekly since March 2022. I decided yes, but with boundaries. I'd attend the ceremony, cocktail hour, skip the reception. I wouldn't sit at the family table. I wouldn't engage with my parents. I called Ethan. I'll come, for you, but I'm not there to make Mom and Dad comfortable. I'm there because you're my brother and you're trying. That's it. That's enough, he said. Thank you. I RSVP'd +1. I was bringing Daniel. I was going back to Greenwich. But this time I wasn't going as Pam, the forgotten daughter. I was going as Pamela J. Grist, CEO, and they'd have to see me. People ask me if I'm angry. I'm not. Anger is exhausting. I'm just done. Done performing. Done shrinking. Done hoping they'll wake up one day and see me. Because I see myself. And that's enough. I built a $500 million company without their help. Without their approval. Without their acknowledgement. I built it in silence. And it turns out silence can be the loudest kind of power. My parents spent 32 years wishing I was different. Wishing I was smaller. Quieter. More convenient. I became bigger. Louder. Inconvenient. And I stopped apologizing for taking up space. Here's what I learned. Your family's inability to see you doesn't diminish your worth. Their blindness is their limitation, not yours. You can grieve the family you deserved while building the life you earned. You can set boundaries without cruelty. You can walk away without guilt. And you can build something extraordinary, something that matters, something that lasts, without needing the people who were supposed to love you to witness it. I spent 6 years becoming someone my parents couldn't ignore. Except they did. Because seeing me would have meant admitting they were wrong. And some people would rather maintain their worldview than update it for reality. So I stopped waiting for them to see me, and I started building a life where I saw myself. That's not revenge. That's freedom. If your family can't see you, build a life where you see yourself. Show up for yourself. Every single day. Until the reflection in the mirror is someone you're proud of. Until the team around you is family you chose. Until the empire you built is proof, not for them, but for you, that you are always enough. I know some of you watching this are seeing yourself in this story. The kid who was told they weren't enough. The adult who built something extraordinary while their family looked away. The person who had to choose themselves over the people who were supposed to choose them first. I see you, and I'm telling you, you made the right choice. Have you ever had to choose between family and your own worth? What did you do? I'd love to hear your story.